Males have the ability to lactate. Yes. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but like sometimes facts are a little crazy sounding. We're doing it. We're talking about Ben Shapiro, whatever you want to call him, Ben Shapiro, the man, the myth, the legend, back at it again with some fresh transphobia. And I don't even want to say transphobia here because I want to make this very clear. The type of video that this is. This video that we're about to see actually goes against Ben Shapiro's core philosophy, allegedly, which is that facts don't care about your feelings. We hear this all the time. This is Ben Shapiro's fucking line, okay? If you hear that, you better get out of the way, because Ben Shapiro is about to fax your feelings straight out of the arena, all right? So, in this video, what we're about to see is something that I understand from the perspective of a moderate, a layman, if you will, people that aren't as hip and up on all the gender LGBT stuff. I can understand that what we're about to watch kind of looks a little bit bizarre, a little bit weird even. But you know what? Stopping at simply this looks weird is a feelings-based argument. That's not a factual argument. That is something is weird and makes me feel uncomfortable. Which is what Ben Shapiro really tries to play into in this clip.
Of 9 months with Courtney Cox. And it features a transgender man, meaning a biological woman, is a biological woman who had a baby. There's not a man who had a baby because that's not possible. There's a biological woman who used her uterus to create a baby and then pushed the baby out through her vagina because she's a biological woman once more. And no amount of testosterone that produces facial hair or growing the hair out or mastectomies changes the fact that this is a biological woman.
Okay, so this is a Ben Shapiro thing already, right? Which is hammering down the biological woman thing. He thinks that this works really well, and it may have worked at one point in maybe like 2015. That was like a pretty compelling argument, but we kind of have moved past that now. Most people know that trans people are biologically different. No one knows that more than trans people. That's why they have gender dysphoria. Because they're aware of the fact that their biology differs from their sense of self, from their gender identity. He's saying this as if it's this big own, as if it's this big, bam, fist to the left. Biological. Have I mentioned they're biological? Have I mentioned the word uterus and vagina and estrogen? And have I mentioned woman? Have I said biological? Have I mentioned biology? We know, Ben Shapiro. Okay, we got it, buddy. Yes. Trans people, their gender identity differs from their biology. You got it, Ben. Yes. We agree. Can you stop acting like saying something that everybody agrees with is somehow this big own?
So in this particular scenario, the quote-unquote husband, the faux husband, meaning a biological woman, gave birth. And the faux woman, meaning a biological man, is the quote-unquote mother in this scenario. And this leads to the bizarre situation that apparently the parents have now refused to accept ID for their newborn baby because that would require the birth mother, like the actual woman, to identify as a mother.
I can totally see this from both perspectives, okay? I can see this from the perspective of a moderate, someone who maybe doesn't quite understand, like, LGBT issues, especially if they're taking news from Ben fucking Shapiro, okay? I can understand how to them that sounds like some crazy, bizarre nonsense, right? But I can also understand how, from the perspective of a trans person, needing to have like documentation that documents you in a way that doesn't correspond with your gender identity, that could very easily further exacerbate symptoms of gender dysphoria. So I can understand how, the moderate might see that as like kind of kooky, but let's think about this. The moderate might be seeing this as a little bit kooky but that's a feelings argument. Actually having a medical reason for something, for maybe not being comfortable with this documentation being a certain way, that's more grounded in facts than simply that's a little kooky. I understand how it sounds a little out there. I really do, but that's not really an argument against it at the end of the day.
And not the male. Hey, by the way, you're a bigot if you disagree. What? Not only are you a bigot, if you bring up your children to disagree, the left will sick the authoritarian regime on you. I mean, this is the way this is going to go over the next few years.
What does that mean? The left will invoke the authoritarian regime. Hello? Yes, hello, ma'am. We heard that you were telling your children that a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl. Can you come with me, please, and go to prison? Like, what do you think is going to happen? What does this mean? Or is the authoritarian regime just mean SJWs tweeting you a lot? What's the authoritarian regime?
Not only are we not assigning a sex to the baby, DC is forcing me to label myself as the mother, and that's not the case. Paterna is the mother.
This looks like a man to me. Okay, obviously this couple has been transitioning for a long time. They've clearly been on like extensive hormone treatment as well. Okay, this looks like a man to me.
DC is forcing me to label myself as the mother, and that's not the case. Paterna is the mother.
This whole birth certificate thing is really causing me a lot of hurt.
So Shapiro, what he's doing here, right, is showing the segment where it's the most emotion, where it shows the person crying, where it shows the that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to play into your feelings about this. He's trying to play into feelings of absurdity, feelings of disgust even.
Trans women can be mothers.
Oh, I put it on here.
Okay, this is perverse. Pause it for a second to understand what just happened. Okay, if you're not watching this, the video then cuts to the quote-unquote mother, a biological male, attempting to feed a human child with his chest. Now, this is not going to work.
That wasn't the person feeding the baby. This person was. Why do you have this person censored? Oh, right, because they originally had breasts, but now they don't have breasts, so that you still censor like an... I don't understand this, but okay.
Because it turns out that biological males do not have milk ducts. So it's going to be rather difficult for the baby to get any sort of nutrition from all of this, of course. But it doesn't matter so long as these people feel better about themselves. Sure.
So what Shapiro is doing here is a direct contradiction of his phony philosophy of facts not caring about your feelings. What Shapiro is doing is capitalizing, playing into the feelings of laymen, of people that might see this and think, I don't understand that. That from Ben Shapiro's perspective, right? He's preaching this, he's selling this to us as if this is a guy, a creepy, perverse guy, putting their nipple in the baby's mouth. Like, it's just... But Shapiro's leaving out the facts for the sake of feelings. I recognize that I'm taking a little bit of a tough position because I recognize from the perspective of a moderate, this looks kind of weird and nutty, but Ben Shapiro's taking advantage of those feelings. The truth of the matter is, I know, it's a fact. It's a wacky fact. Strange but true. Biological males, Shapiro, your favorite biological males can lactate. This has happened before. It's happening now. It's been documented repeatedly. It's been documented since in the 1896. They talked about instances of male nursing being observed. Males have the ability to lactate. Yes. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but like sometimes facts are a little crazy sounding. From live science, facts, okay, that Ben Shapiro has compromised for the sake of feelings. Here's how a transgender woman breastfed for 6 weeks. A transgender woman was able to produce enough milk to breastfeed her partner's newborn baby for 6 weeks. Now, this was the first report in medical literature, okay? But this has been happening for a long, long time. Like I said, it's been documented as far back as the late 1800s, and even more so, I have here a story kind of adding on to this Live Science article, talking about how although this is the first medically documented case, this has been going on for a long time. And here are interviews with 3 different trans women who have breastfed their babies before. These are facts right now. And Ben Shapiro is selling this to us as if this is some perverse, creepy thing, when the transgender woman was able to breastfeed after undergoing a regimen of hormonal therapy along with the use of a breast pump, in a process similar to what's done for women who cannot produce breast milk on their own. So sometimes women can't produce breast milk, and they're given certain hormones to help them lactate as well. It's known that people who are born male can produce milk. For example, men who undergo hormonal treatment for prostate cancer can, in some cases, develop breast fullness and lactate. This isn't even in the context of like transgender individuals. We're just talking about other treatments can sometimes lead to this. So I get it, okay? I used to be a fucking transphobic chud. Okay, I recognize that from the perspective of a moderate, this looks like delusion. But the only one who's delusional right now is Ben Shapiro. And he's not really delusional. He is knowingly and willfully lying. He is leaving out facts and capitalizing on feelings.
Sure, the baby's going to starve to death, but at least the delusional parents feel better about themselves. And this is being championed. These are civil rights heroes. Civil rights heroes is a man who's sticking his nipple in the mouth of a child, in the mouth of a small baby.
Notice how he's giving it to us with that twist, right? A man putting his nipple. This is not some like weird fantasy where a dude is putting his... This is a transgender woman who, from the looks of it, has been on hormone therapy for quite some time, and it's now relatively understood that trans people, when they're going through hormonal treatment, they can sometimes lactate. Sometimes science is a little bit, I don't know, weird. You don't expect it, but that's okay. That doesn't mean that it's invalid. That would be a feelings argument, and I'm not here for that.
In a bizarre attempt to nourish the baby with literally nothing, and you're a bigot if you disagree, don't you see? Don't worry. You're the authoritarian for suggesting there is a problem here, or that perhaps it is not in the best interest of a child to grow up under these circumstances.
What do you mean grow up under these circumstances? He's lying right now and fear-mongering ultimately about trans and gay people having children. This is a deeper thing that he's getting at the end of the day. He's playing very much into that fear-mongering about gay people, about trans people having children. This is just another bull-faced lie. You can look at study after study after study. The research is in, Ben. The facts are here, my dude. And it turns out that children raised by gay couples fare just as well as children raised by straight couples. I know, Ben, sometimes the facts don't care about your feelings, buddy. And this is another instance of that very thing.
That's in fact, if you suggest that, maybe the CPS should come for your kids, if you suggest that sort of thing.
Right, exactly. That's how it is, right? Ben Shapiro is going to have his kids taken away now for saying his opinion on his talk show, right? Right, Ben? Oh, wait, no. It's almost like you don't even believe that yourself.
We're going to supplement the feeding with formula so that my baby's still getting the nutrients that they need, but I'm still feeling hopeful.
You're not supplementing. That's not supplementing. Supplementing assumes that there is a baseline of nutrition that is being provided. My wife nursed all of our children, and then at a certain point, because she was working and she didn't have time to pump, we had to supplement with formula. Supplementation means not the whole thing.
This is such a fucking semantics argument. Really? Define supplement. Something that completes or enhances something else when added to it. Okay. Fair enough, Ben, that you might, on a semantic sense, be correct. But come on, dude. What do you think that they're admitting to starving the baby and only giving it some of the formula and assuming that it identifies as drinking from the breast milk? Like, what are you getting at right now? What does this mean? This is such a pathetic semantics argument. Shit. So far, we've literally had feelings, no facts at all, and then a semantics argument / gotcha attempt. It bewilders me how I used to think of this guy as being intellectual. Does he think they're just not feeding it? Yeah, he thinks that they're admitting to the camera that they're basically starving their child. It's the secret liberal agenda. I don't know.
What kind of perverse damage are you doing to a baby? You're having the baby latched to a male nipple, and then you're like, oh yeah, and I'm supplementing with formula. Yeah, well, we've created a hell of a society for ourselves, haven't we? We're a society of science, by the way.
Listen to this. First of all, we are a society of science. That's why we know that males, biological males, can lactate, Ben. That's a fact that you've been leaving out of your video for the sake of your feelings. Second of all, I really like the reactionary bait here. Look at this society we've created. Look at this world that we live in now. This implication that there is some kind of better past that we need to return to. This is like reactionary bait right here.
We are a society that is dedicated, foursquare, to science. It's all we care about. In fact, we are so dedicated to science right now, like so unbelievably dedicated to science, that apparently California has now declared that all children K through 12 next year will be mandated to wear masks in the classroom. That's how dedicated to science the left is. They are so dedicated to science, man.
Wait. What? First of all, this motherfucker just pivoted as much as Mike from PA. Not only does the left care about trans people, but now the left wants to stop children from getting COVID. He's just like saying something good and then acting as if it's bad. What's next, Ben? Are they going to start requiring you be vaccinated to attend public school?
Really well done, everybody. And if you disagree, you should be shut down. If you disagree, then you should be banned from social media. If you
Says the guy with the biggest conservative media conglomerate, like on virtually every social media platform. This video alone has like 700,000 views. But yep, apparently you don't have a platform to say this stuff, guys. It's such a fucking transparent grift. People who have massive platforms telling little laymen who don't understand shit that, hey, apparently if you say this, you'll be censored. Meanwhile, you're saying it on a massive platform, not being censored. Like, okay.
Well, you know, I guess that we got so fat and happy that we no longer had to engage in the world of reality. And that is really the end of it. Because I'll tell you what, the folks...
Yeah, seriously, the world of reality where we have a major talk show host that apparently doesn't even know how to fucking Google shit before he delivers a message to millions of listeners. America really has fallen. Good argument, Ben.
Who are protesting in Cuba right now, the people who are marching in Cuba at risk to their own lives, I highly doubt that these sorts of idiocies are the things that they worry about on a day-to-day level.
Okay, hold on. That's a huge... like non-argument. I don't know if I'd go as far as calling it a fallacy, but that doesn't make sense. There's a literal hierarchy. Maybe chat, you can remind me what this is. So first down here, you have your basic needs, right? Which is your food, water, warmth, rest. When you live in an area where you're starving or under an authoritarian regime or being fired upon for protesting, then I think that would probably fall here. Okay, so yeah, you're not going to be as worried about these other needs. Belongingness and love needs, intimate relationships and friendships. That's another good point. If you're starving, if you're fighting against an authoritarian regime that's starving you or shooting at you, you're probably not as worried about, do I have a good relationship right now with my friend? Do I have a good relationship with my mom? Like, you're not thinking about those things because you're focusing on your more basic needs. So for Ben Shapiro to bring this up, be like, do you think the people in Cuba right now are worried about trans rights? No, probably not. But that's not an argument at all.
If the authoritarian left wins, then we have a bigger problem, and so do people all over the world. Wow. Things are going great, guys. Things are just going spectacularly well.
Are you all right, Ben? You sound a little disheartened, man. I had no idea trans people could really make you that sad. Poor Ben. Seems to be putting feelings over facts. And what's worse is he's taking advantage of other people's feelings and other people's lack of knowledge on this subject to make his argument stronger. He is taking advantage of people's feelings. He's weaponizing people's feelings to sell them on this idea that he is somehow putting facts over feelings. It's really quite disgusting stuff. But hey, he's got to make his money somehow. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified when I drop a new video.